My son Paul was 33 years old when he was murdered. It all happened on a Friday, the 3rd of August 2007. He got up on the Friday morning. He seemed a bit moody. I asked him, was there a problem? And he went, you don't want to know. So I said, okay, I'm going to work. So off to work I went. And everything that day was normal. Paul had an appointment that day with a solicitor over trying to get access to a child that was told it was his. We didn't think it was, but it was a cat and mouse game with the ex-girlfriend and this child. And he'd made this appointment to have something done. He wanted a DNA test doing as well. Anyway, he goes off into town to see the solicitor. When he come back, he was with his brother Gary all day. He went back to Gary's girlfriend's house and there they were all day. During that day, Peter Armstrong, who murdered Paul, phoned up the ex-girlfriend. Peter Armstrong and Paul were friends, supposed to be. And he phoned Kerry up and said, Paul's going into town to see a solicitor over the baby. So she came over to Peter's. This is what we were told in course. She came over to Peter's with drugs and drink. And the two of them were there all day, snorting coke and drinking cider and beer, whatever. And all day she was sending Paul nasty text messages, naughty phone calls, and Paul just got a little bit fed up with it all. And he said to Gary, oh, I'm going to go down and see if I can calm Peter down. He's winding Kerry up. So with that, he said to Gary, are you going to come with me? And Gary went, no, I'll stay here. Anyway, Paul jumped in a taxi and went down there. And he went and he knocked on the door and Peter Armstrong came out and stabbed him. And I still don't know why. We surmise that he was jealous of Paul and that he had the hots for the ex-girlfriend. And that's why he done it. Paul might have been in the way a bit. But they're the only reasons that we can come to for Paul's death. And he stabbed him with a great big kitchen knife. You know, and it was just horrible. And that's it, basically. He got a life. He got life with a minimum of 13 years. And that's supposed to be justice. He's 52 years of age. What decent man is on drugs at 52 years of age and stabbing somebody? When he was asked in court, for what reason did you do it, he said he didn't know. But he tried to make out that it was self-defence, and there was no evidence whatsoever of self-defence because Paul wasn't armed and Paul wasn't fighting. My family's been left devastated. My other son, Gary, it's absolutely hit him terrible. He did have a bit of a drink problem beforehand. It's even worse now, and I'm worried soft about him. But, you know, Paul and Gary were both adopted. And they were half-brothers. And Paul was all Gary had, really, you know, to call his own, if that's the way to put it, you know. And now Gary, I think Gary feels very, very alone. He's not, because we've got the family, but he feels alone, you know. And and I've got to deal with Gary, you know. And Gary's also hurt because he lost his dad 2 years before Paul died. So he's trying to deal with the loss. And when there's no reason, it seems even harder to deal with. It's hard just going on all the time. I come to this group and the group's helped me such a lot. It's helped me to channel my anger into fighting for tougher sentences. Because at the end of the day, life, if you're put in prison with a life sentence, you should serve a life sentence. You know, the authorities should be prepared to send you back out into the world in a box. Not with a licence. You should come out in a box and they should bury you. But no, it doesn't happen. One day Peter Armstrong may possibly walk through a front door again. My son will never put the key in his front door and walk in on me again. And that's hard. When you're sitting there some days on your own and you're waiting for the key to go in the door and it doesn't go in the door. Nobody walking in saying, "Mum, do you want a brew?" It's hard to come to terms with it all. If he'd been ill, then you accept it, you know, but not when this happens. It's just horrible, absolutely horrible. You're living in a dark hole all the time.